Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. I'm Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. County Executive George Latimer, after yesterday's press conference at the Emergency Operations Center, was feeling a little bit under the weather. So we're here today to make sure that we're giving you a winter storm update. He's in constant communication with us, so everything is going to be all right with the county executive. I know you're concerned about that. At this point in time, I want to turn over to our Director of Operations for the Winter Storm Update, Joan McDonald.
Thanks, Ken. Good morning, everybody. We're here to give you an update as where we are in the county. As many of you know, right now, many streets, including some of our major arteries, remain blocked by fallen trees. That is one of our priorities. Many intersections remain without working traffic lights, and power outages are affecting some critical infrastructure and facilities, including sewage and water pumping stations. The county is coordinating those intersections and those pumping stations with the local municipalities, and as it pertains to the intersections, we've given the list to New York State DOT, and they are addressing them intersection by intersection. Regarding those without power, right now there is a call with Con Edison to update where we are. They report that there are 41,261 customers still without power in Westchester, and New York State Electric and Gas reports that it has 19,802 customers without power in the northeastern Westchester communities that they serve. However, both utilities are still estimating the time to restore as they did yesterday. New York State Electric and Gas expects to have more than 90% of its customers restored by 11:45 p.m. today, March 5th, 2018. And Con Ed expects to have more than 90% of its customers restored by Monday, March 6th at 11 p.m. And this is extremely important. As many of you have been watching and hearing, there is another storm expected on Wednesday, beginning Tuesday night into early Thursday morning. Various weather reports, they're still finalizing rain versus snow and totals. So as those become clearer, we will respond accordingly. Yesterday, Governor Cuomo declared a state of emergency for 4 counties in New York State. As a result of that declaration of emergency, he assigned a liaison to our Emergency Operations Center, who, fortunately for us, is the Public Service Commission Chairman, John Rhodes, who, at the county executive's request, has committed to doing a top-to-bottom review of the utilities and their response once we get through this event. The governor has also deployed 100 National Guard. Westchester County, as many of you were aware, yesterday the county executive also declared a state of emergency for the county to complement what the governor is doing. 2 municipalities still have a declared state of emergency, North Salem and Lewisboro. As we know, because we need it, there are many warning shelters still open in Westchester County. Please reach out to your local municipality for heat and for where the hours and the locations of those warming centers. Dry ice, the utilities are providing dry ice. For Yorktown Heights, the Kmart Shopping Center is the northern part of the county at 355 Downing Drive, and New Rochelle City Hall in the rear parking lot. The Westchester County Emergency Operations Center remains open. It has been open since 6 a.m. Friday morning, and we are supporting our local municipalities and coordinating recovery efforts with New York State, Con Edison, and New York State Electric and Gas. The county also has approximately 100 employees in the field that we have deployed to assist the municipalities and the utilities for downed trees and for the removal of debris. Many of our municipalities, as we know, are extremely frustrated with the pace of repairs to restore electrical service to homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure currently without it. And as George said yesterday, the county executive also understands those frustrations. He's been in communication with the CEO of New York State Electric and Gas, who was at our EOC late yesterday. He has also been in communication with Con Edison, and as I mentioned, has requested the New York State Public Service Commission immediately after we get through this event to do a top-to-bottom review, because as he has stated on many occasions, this is totally unacceptable. Some safety tips just as we get through the rest of this. When you are out driving, as I mentioned, many intersections are still without traffic signals. And many roads are closed because of downed power roads, if you see downed power lines, if you see barrels, if you see road cones that signify a road closed, do not drive around those. The county is coordinating with New York State DOT to get the traffic signals restored as quickly as possible. But it's important to remind everybody that if a traffic signal is out, you should treat the intersection as a four-way stop. You are not to drive through it at travel speed. Our Beeline bus service and paratransit service are operating under the normal schedule. The Westchester County Airport is open. Metro North Railroad service is operating at normal schedules. On behalf of the county executive, I want to thank all of our first responders and the public works personnel who have been hard at work during the storm and have been getting very little sleep. He greatly appreciates their efforts to help our communities recover from this storm. The county government is open, and for us, it's business as usual. And one final note, our Consumer Protection Department is already monitoring some of the fuel price gouging, that we have seen out and about. So with that, I'm happy to take questions and will answer what I can.
Ms. McDonald, what was it about this particular storm that made it so much more difficult to restore power? Because it certainly isn't the first storm the area has had.
Well, we've gotten confirmation from Con Edison that it is one of the top 5 storm for power outage in their history. What the other 4 are, or I guess what the other 3 are besides Sandy, I don't know, but it is one of the top 5. I think, and I'm not the weather expert, but with the wet ground and the high winds, in many instances greater than 60 miles an hour, trees have been uprooted, whole trees. And the deputy county executive, the county executive and I have driven around. We've seen those firsthand. And when they land on a live wire, it's making sure that the wire is out and then getting the tree removed. And it's a very labor-intensive process. And one of the reasons in my discussions with the utilities, they talk about the 90% is because it's that last 10% that are generally single-family homes that require a direct connection. So when you restore power, you can get 100 homes, for example, with certain changes, with certain restoration. But as you get to that last 10%, it's really one by one by one.
So do we have a number of the actual number of people that are affected? Because does it kind of goes, a customer is one house or one apartment building?
We don't have those numbers, right? We'll try to get those.
What took the county until yesterday at 4 p.m. to declare the state of emergency?
You know, we had started talking about it early on, and you have to very carefully take a look at what determines a state of emergency and what you would use, what you would empower to do. And as we were in constant communication with the governor's office and the municipalities, and we thought that things might have moved a little more quickly. And what this does is it allows the county executive to issue curfews if he needs to, as John Nona, our county attorney, said at the press conference yesterday, do other things. It allows us, our DPW department and Environmental Facilities Department, to trigger emergency contracts to assist in the debris removal. So we just, we look at it very carefully and we don't take it lightly.
What role is the National Guard playing here?
The National Guard works with, they assist the municipalities and the utilities on debris removal. They help provide, at intersections, they provide a safety coverage. They coordinate with public safety, et cetera.
So have they been dispatched to one area or just
That's being coordinated through our EOC with the utilities and with the municipalities. So they go wherever it's needed.
Could you tell us if any facilities with nursing homes or hospitals were affected?
I don't know that list, but they are generally the first priority. You know, public safety and public health and nursing homes and hospitals, particularly after Sandy. That is one of the top priorities. And most of them have emergency generators, but in all the calls that we've had with both utilities, that has always been their top priority.
Is there any fatalities or any injuries as a result of the storm?
In this county, I don't believe so. There have been on the whole storm. It's Superstorm Riley up and down the East Coast. There was one fatality in Putnam County, but I don't believe Westchester County has had any.
Yesterday, the county executive said that he felt the utility companies did not plan far enough in advance and did not begin planning given the scope of the storm and that some of the mutual aid areas would also be affected. Will you be reviewing in the future other ways to get help here faster since there's no longer an infrastructure to deal with these kind of crises locally?
That will absolutely be part of the assessment, you know, and you have, you know, the weather forecast changes, but yes, that will absolutely be part of the review.
But the priority right now is to make sure to get people back in service, clearing live wires, and then certainly have an opportunity to talk. And since we have another nor'easter that's planned on Wednesday, it may take a little bit of time. And as the county executive said yesterday, and Joe McDonald just said again today, there is extreme frustration on a local levels, and everyone understands that level of frustration to try to get answers. But right now, the priority that the utility companies have is to make sure that we're getting people back in service as quickly as possible. And certainly from the governor's office, his representative, John Rhodes, is absolutely going to be on top of that, as he described yesterday.
Did the county have discussions with the utilities ahead of time, and what did they tell you about their preparation plans if you did?
You know, our EOC reached out to them, and it was just, you know, planning for the outages. Again, we don't know how extensive they thought that was going to be, and we did not know that the tree damage on top of the wires was going to be as extensive as it was. Something like that is very difficult to predict.
Yeah, the winds were so high that they really didn't die down till midday on Saturday. So that was a significant issue. You can't send someone out on a bucket truck to try to do things in the air when the winds are still having those severe gusts that they were having throughout the day.
Are you working on any contingency plans right now in case they don't fulfill their deadlines to have 90% of power back by tomorrow night?
No, we're hopeful that they're going to make it.
We have the county continues to have all of its resources available as far as sheltering systems through the Department of Social Services. We have a lot of emergency shelters, and that is one of the things that the county executive's emergency declaration does, is it gives him the power to go into a community if it's necessary to establish emergency shelter. So if those combination of things happen, there is not a question that the county executive will work with the local municipalities to establish those emergency shelters as necessary. There's been great response throughout our volunteer networks, through churches and youth shelters that they have, youth centers that have been around the county. The folks are working really hard, and again, we really can't stress enough, as Joan has just said, about the first responders, but also those local officials that are taking the brunt of trying to listen to all of the constituents and concerns that are out there and having those priorities done and trying to get through this all together. But again, the first priority right now is getting people up and going, and then we can go backwards and look and do lessons learned.
What words of encouragement or anything do you have for those residents who still do not have power and they're coming across Wednesday where they may not have it even longer? Anything you can say to them to...
Well, it's extremely frustrating. The county executive said it. He said it yesterday. It's like, when you have friends and family, this is that time to help try to reach out to those folks, members of your community, in places of worship, and also your neighbors. But the encouragement is that everyone is working as hard as they can, as quickly as they can, and no one is satisfied at the response. The county executive was very clear that he is not pleased at all about the response. But right now, the focus has to be getting people online. Again, reach out to all of the support mechanisms that we have in place, and don't be afraid to use them. The county, again, has those social services resources available 100% of the time, and not just for this kind of emergency, but on an everyday basis. So if you need some shelter, if someone needs some shelter, they need to take advantage of that and not be afraid to call the county to help out.
With price gouging, you mentioned gas. There were also reports of hotels overcharging. What's the county doing to combat that, and what should residents do if they encounter what they believe is price gouging?
What they should do is, we weren't aware, I was not personally aware of the hotel price gouging, but we absolutely will get our consumer protection department on it. They should notify our consumer protection department through 211, and we will get immediately on it. And we were aware of the gasoline, but the hotel is this is the first we're hearing of it, but we will get right on it.